Hello everybody, welcome back. This is a short video about a problem that some students faced when they were building this pen platformer game. Now it turns out that not everybody faced this problem, but when I thought about it, I thought it was a good addition that we could give to our game anyway, right? So a brief video on that. I think it will help everybody. Now let me just highlight what the problem is, right? So remember this is the pen platformer. Here, when we have this we have a player which is going around with arrows and it can jump when we click the up arrow, right? Now, let's say you have a situation where your jump is rather strong or you're jumping from somewhere in the middle, right? So here I have made my jump very strong. Basically, the way jump happens is that I change this variable called y speed by a large number. And since I'm always changing y by y speed, right, it creates a sudden jump which is going upwards. And of course, it's kind of the fact that we're changing y speed causes the jump to be consistent with the gravity effect, right? So it's very nice that way. However, let's say my jump is quite large and I've done that, intentionally in this situation here by making it 30, right? So let's see what happens now, right? Notice that when I jump, my sprite seems to kind of get stuck somewhere on the top here, right? So this is the problem that students highlighted, and I think it's a quite a good point actually, because then the game becomes a little bit not so interesting to play, right? It's kind of it kind of interrupts the gameplay, and the problem is further seen. For example, when I jump from here, right, from this platform is quite high up, I really get stuck up there for a long while, right? So how do we solve this? Why is it happening? Let's think about it, right? So remember, this is happening because the way the jump happens by changing y speed by a large number, and that causes the y to change. Now in Scratch, once the y becomes more than, say, something like 175 or 165, some places large number, basically y might become 200, 250, but the sprite will appear like it has got stuck here, right? So that's the reason this is happening, right? That our y speed is changing by such a large number that y becomes more than the maximum y that is permissible, and hence the sprite seems to be getting stuck until the y starts reducing. Because remember, eventually y speed will become zero, and the sprite has to start falling, and that will happen by changing y by a negative number at which y will start decreasing, right? So eventually it will start falling, but then for the time being, for that time intervening time, it looks like the scratch is stuck, the sprite is stuck somewhere in the top, right? So how do we fix that, right? It's actually kind of not that hard when you think about it, and I think it's a good thing for all of us to build in, regardless of whether you face this problem or not. So what I do is that I basically say, when flag click, if y position is more than, say, a large number, say minus, say, 175, then I set y to 175, right? So that's like level number one. Let's say I did that, right? Will that solve the problem? In fact, the answer is no, but let's just see it anyway. Notice still the sprite is getting stuck somewhere on the top, right? And the reason is that even though I set the y to 175, y speed is still a large number, right? So y is I set it to 175 momentarily, but basically because y is changing by y speed, so it still keeps going up, right, until y speed becomes negative, when it starts falling down, right? So next, what I can also do is to say set y speed to 0, right? So with this, what happens is, when it goes there and I touch this, immediately the sprite nicely falls down, right? And notice, even if I go to the platform which is quite high in the air, this is fine, right? So if I do this, I mean, this jump is rather large, as I told you, but notice, even if I go here and try this, it's quite smooth and quite nice, right? Which is why I felt that it's a good thing to build, right? However, please be careful with this, right? If, let's say, you put, if y position is greater than 175 and you set it to, say, something like 180, all right, this will have a problematic effect, because what this will do is it will basically make the sprite stuck there forever. The reason is because whenever y becomes more than 175, you are going to set it to 180, which means it is more than 175, so it's always going to get stuck at that place, right? So be very careful. Whatever you are putting here as a greater than condition, this number here cannot be larger than that, right? So I'll put it 175 because this is greater than, I can make it 175, right? So which means this, once one y is set to 175, this condition is no longer true, right? And the whole program just works nicely, right? So notice now my jump is quite nice and it doesn't get stuck, right? Even though my jump is pretty strong, right? Now, a similar thing, one more thing that I noticed in some of the gameplays, and I realized it's also a point of improvement, right? Notice here, right? So here, basically, when I touch the black color, right, I can essentially, I touch the black color, I go up, but notice I'm able to jump up again from the sky, right? Which is kind of against my game rules. So I could fix that also by saying touching color black, if touching color black, set close to ground to 0, just like we're done for the touching color red, right? So with that happens, right? Even though I say I go and touch, let's say the black color, I must come back to earth before I can jump, right? So it doesn't jump. It kind of becomes more consistent with the overall gameplay, right? So basically, yeah, that's all the video is all about, right? So notice how we have fixed the problem of ball or the player getting stuck somewhere in the sky by adding this little bit of code here, right? All right, hopefully this was useful. Take care. Bye bye.